Did it float your boat?
Well, I have to say it was the most powerful contribution I've seen Rachel make. You know, she has a reputation of being a bit boring, but I thought that was a very powerful contribution, and I'd have to study the fine details. She came out with some really interesting, very, very interesting new policies. I'm always slightly nervous when someone like Rachel starts talking about we have to make choices and we won't make promises that we can't deliver. So we'll have to look at that. I was waiting for her to talk about investing in our manufacturing base because we have to do that. But she picked up on the green transition, dealing with unions, working with unions for that fair transition. And of course that requires significant government investment, which she talked about. So all in all, until I studied in more depth, remember under Corbyn, the issue that kind of captured the imagination of ordinary working people was the idea of a national investment bank, the idea of regional investment banks, the idea of public ownership of the energy sectors and the railways and Royal Mail. So we'll have to see what Keir is thinking along those lines.
Well, Keir Starmer indicated yesterday, even though his leadership pledge was to nationalise the big six energy companies, when asked yesterday on another channel, he said no, he's not going to do that anymore.
Yeah, it was disappointing. I mean, the one constant thing at the moment is that Keir always disappoints me in what he's saying. You know, some people may regard that as a good thing. The problem is that for Labour to win the next election, and I have made the statement that it would be almost impossible to win the next general election. By that I mean win it outright. It defies logic and maths that he can do that. But he can get into number 10 in a hung parliament if he wins back the red wall seats. And to do that, he has to have radical economic policies, and that's the issue that I'm not quite sure of. Rachel doesn't have a history of wanting to seize that radical edge. And Keir yesterday saying no, he's changed his mind on that is a worry, because ordinary people out there just want to trust somebody. They want to feel that they're on their side. Rachel made that point in her speech. We're going to be a government on the side of ordinary working people. Working people have got to feel that. If working people feel you're on their side, then they'll support you. I found that as General Secretary. My members didn't agree with everything I said, but they supported me because they knew I was on their side. And that's really the key to Keir Starmer at the moment, and to win those red wall seats back, he needs that trust.
Well, and I was quite interested, I'm interested in your view on this whole HGV drivers shortage, actually, because Rachel in her speech said we need jobs coming back to Britain, but actually, when it comes to the drivers shortage, Keir Starmer said we should give 100,000 visas for people to come and operate those trucks. Should the Labour Party be arguing for the import of cheap migrant labour? Well,
of course, they're in a difficult position because the Conservative government haven't listened to what we've been saying for way over a decade, and that is about investing in skills. A HGV driver is a highly skilled job. We've been arguing for investment from governments because we knew, especially coming with Brexit, we knew that there was going to be a shortage of drivers. And we've been hammering the government, hammering them for years to say, do something about this. Now, they ignored us and suddenly we're in the mess that we're in. So, of course, there is now panic. People, government, let's get Brexit done, let's stop migrant workers coming in, are suddenly panicking on the basis that we need them in. And what we should be doing, of course, is investing, paying decent wages and conditions. That's when ordinary local British people, local people, will take up that slack, and we will have the required numbers that we need.
Rachel mentioned the word Brexit twice. You're right to say that Labour needs to win the red wall back. Brexit was a hurtful moment for many Leave voters who felt they were disrespected by the Labour Party for not having their voice heard. Do Labour need to apologise for their position on Brexit?
Well, the interesting thing was that Keir became a convert very, very quickly. It served him well to become the leader of the Labour Party, being so pro-Remain. But he very quickly, once he became leader, said he would support Boris Johnson's deal without even seeing what the deal was. I suppose in a way that was an apology, but the real issue is what I've just said, Gloria, and you know this because you lived through it.
Yeah.
We have to tell our people in those areas that felt we'd disrespected them, felt we'd betrayed them, that yes, we're sorry, yes, we've listened to them, and yes, we're on their side. Is Keir doing that? Well, the opinion polls at the moment suggest he isn't. All of this shenanigans over rule changes at the party conference, that won't help in any way whatsoever. And that is the challenge he has, and I think he's making the challenge more and more difficult as each week goes on.
Now, to win that next election, as we've both identified, those red wall voters are so crucial. They voted Tories in droves at the last elections for the first time often in their entire lives. Angela Rayner told Labour delegates that Tories were a bunch of scum, that we cannot get any worse than a bunch of scum. See, is building the relationship with those people who deserted Labour to vote Tory, who the Labour Party needs to win back, is calling the Tories scum a helpful part on that journey?
Well, Angela, often says it how she sees it, and there is a lot of anger out there. I'm quite sure that there's millions of ordinary people out there would have agreed with her. So I was more interested in what her speech said, which I thought was a fantastic speech. But you've hit on something, Gloria, that is very crucial, and I'm not sure people have picked up on it yet. Historically, Labour voters, when they were disillusioned with Labour, abstained. This time, they have crossed the Rubicon, and they've actually voted Tory. Not just in Hartlepool and Batley and Spen, but also in the Red Wall seat. That is the challenge. How do you get them back across the river? And for me, it can only be done with a united party where the left is putting forward strong, radical views on behalf of working people to make their lives better, and where ordinary workers see that this Labour Party and this Labour leader is on our side. We'll give them a chance. We trust them again.
So to go to where we started, this book in bookshops from tomorrow. Who has most to fear when they're going to read it? Who's going to be most upset with you, Len?
That's a great question, and I'm going to leave it to people to read it, and I'm going to be interested in what the reviewers say, because I've got a feeling that because of my honesty, I might get criticism from a number of quarters, including from some of my comrades on the left, who will know above all that my values are their values and my hopes and my vision for a future are theirs.
Well, I'm looking forward to reading it. I think we've had a good discussion. We welcome all sides of the